Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Sage Joe and Love, here with another AEW Dynamite review. The first, AEW Dynamite review by itself on Wednesday night. So for those who don't know, NXT premiered on Tuesday nights, the first of their Tuesday night session. Now and which means that the AEW and NXT Wednesday Night War is basically done per se as far as Wednesday night. So AEW was on its own last night to start the breathing session per se. NXT is now on Tuesdays, AEW is on Wednesdays. It was a good feel because I watched NXT on Tuesday. It was the first time I really watched an episode of NXT in full and live, or when it was actually on Tuesday, and it was a good feel. And Wednesday, of course, last night I watched it in AEW, and it was a good feel of breathing room per se, yeah. So AEW had some good moments. You know, we had the tag team title match to open the show between the Bucks, Pac and Fenix. We had the TNT title match between Darby Allin and Matt Hardy. It was a good flowing show for the first time of it being on its own. However, it had some flaws, but we'll get into it. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Like and subscribe. Click on that bell. Now let's get into the review. So, the show started off with the Young Bucks versus Pac and Fenix for tag team titles. This, of course, stemmed from Pac and Fenix winning the tag team battle royal at Revolution. And this was a good match. And this was the first match of the Bucks since last week after reforming with Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. Now, they came out through the heel tunnel. They came out with Don Callis. It was strange, though, because when I listen to their theme, it doesn't really sound much. I still get the sense of tweener in between face Bucks, Young Bucks. And I saw their attire. They came out in white. It was just odd because I didn't get that sense of heel when they were reformed with Omega and the Good Brothers. But this still a good match. Pac and Phoenix got the advantage early with some dives to the outside. Suicida. Pac got a hot tag, hit a brainbuster for a near fall after an attack on Fenix. Then Pac was trying to make a hot tag to Fenix, but was ripped off the apron by Nick Jackson. And Matt Jackson came in, faked the hot tag that he got, and then came in, kind of played up the hot tag per se of Matt Jackson, landed some offense on Pac, and then finally Phoenix got a hot tag, hit a double cutter on the Bucks for a near fall. And some good double team, which led to a Blue Thunder Bomb by Pac for a 2. Then a Superplex Frog Slash combination for another near fall. Pac went for the Black Arrow, connected, but was interrupted. So he hit a beautiful Black Arrow on Matt Jackson, and Phoenix got Nick Jackson to a headlock, but Nick Jackson threw Phoenix into Pac. The only way to stop the pin for which continued the match, and then at the end of the match, Phoenix was unmasked by Nick Jackson, and they landed that super kick party, and then for the win, the Bucks retained, and the Bucks win with obviously a heel-ish fashion, unmasking the luchador and thus getting the win. So it's going to take some time, but it's strange because they are reformed. Omega, the Good Brothers, and the Young Bucks. So I'm just curious because they've had a lengthy reign so far, the Bucks. Same with Omega. I'm just curious what lies ahead for Double or Nothing. If, say, I just got the feeling that we perhaps get the American version of Bullet Club versus, or the AEW version versus the New Japan version of Bullet Club in the future. That's just my opinion. But still, subject to change. It's just hard to imagine the plans lying ahead, and that's good. Not knowing what's come next. And they also laid the visuals in the crowd of the other tag teams lined up in the division. SCU, Best Friends, etc. You got Santana Ortiz, you got FTR, Jurassic Express. I mean, some good matches still lie ahead for the Young Bucks. So we got Red Velvet taking on Jade Cargill. This match brewing for weeks. And ever since, really, the match with Cody and Shaq, but this was a good match. I mean, two of the women that are looking to build, I would say, being foundational pieces in the women's division. This quality match, Cargill got the win. I mean, both are still fairly new. Both are still trying to get their feet beneath them. But quality match, nonetheless. After we got an interview of Britt Baker and Reba, they were interviewed by Tony Schiavone backstage, and there was a visual of the women's rankings, and it showed that Britt Baker was number 3 overall, and she talked about how she's still working her way up in the rankings, trying to do it reasonably to eventually get her shot at Sheeta. So she talked about, well, Red Velvet just lost, who was number 2. So she expects to move up, Britt Baker. And then Ty Conti will face Sheeta for the Women's Championship next week in an interesting match. But I expect that we will get Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida for the Women's Championship at Double or Nothing. So then we had the Dynamite in-ring debut of Anthony Ogogo. This was interesting. It was short, but still interesting. So Ogogo came out with QT Marshall and I'm sorry, blanked on his name, but his other camaraderies and their new faction per se. But so Ogogo came out, he has a solid look, and they talked about his history as a former Olympic boxer, and he used those intangibles basically to win the match against a jobber here. So they were exchanging, and Ogogo just hit a beautiful body blow, which prompted a referee stoppage or Aaron Solo, excuse me. So Ogogo landed body blow, referee stoppage, and Ogogo successful on his AEW Dynamite in-ring debut. So then was a fun match, but the ending was very odd. But I get it. So we had Chris Jericho versus Dax Harwood with Mike Tyson as the ringside special enforcer, excuse me. So earlier, actually, in the night, MJF, he interrupted Mike Tyson backstage and he tried to pay him off with a blank check, but Mike Tyson ripped it up, ate it, and spat it in his face. So, clear as day, Mike Tyson's answer. But this solid match between Jericho and Dax Harwood. I mean, Dax Harwood is one half of the greatest tag teams currently in the world in FTR. And he has proven he is a solid wrestler on his own. Whether it's his match versus Jungle Boy and his match here with Jericho, he can go as a singles. Obviously, preferably FTR is better, but still, Dax Harwood can go. So, it was a methodical match to start. Slow, kind of moving pace. So, they were fighting on the outside, and Dax went to the doctor's at ringside, the timekeeper's table, and he grabbed the microphone and used it on Jericho. I'm guessing it was oblivious to the referee's sight, or perhaps it was Dax Harwood or Sammy Guevara, who is at ringside, that maybe distracted the referee. I don't know, but kind of strange that it was used and nothing was called. So then late in the match, Jericho hit a bulldog and a lion saw for a near fall. You know, a lot of people, including myself, crapped on Jericho when he messed up that lion salt many weeks ago. Now, since then, he is really honed in and paid more attention to the beautiful lion salt. So then Dax hit a beautiful rebound powerbomb for near fall. Then Cashware got a cheap shot in on Jericho when the referee wasn't looking for, and Dax pinned Jericho for a near fall. Was a brainbuster, and then Jericho hit a codebreaker, and then all of a sudden the rest of the members of the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, or the Pineapple, Jericho says, came out and caused a ruckus. They brawled each other on the stage area, and MJF got in the face of ref Aubrey Edwards. He got a low blow for his efforts. Then Cash Wheeler tried to use Floyd the Bat on Jericho. Mike Tyson stopped him, knocked him out at ringside. And then Dax Harwood went for a looked to be a pile driver on Jericho. But Sammy distracted him and thus Jericho hit the juice effect for the win after Jericho announced that Mike Tyson is now a member of the Inner Circle, a honorary member per se. But so the reason why I said it was a chaotic, one of the reasons why I said it was a chaotic episode of Dynamite in the thumbnail is because, as we've seen as of late, the last few weeks, there has been a lot of brawls, multi-man brawls throughout the show. And it's just messy, crazy. It's just sounds so. But besides all that, solid match, arguably the match of the night between Jericho and Dax Harwood. And as kind of Excalibur said on commentary, it was the first kind of line in the sand, or the first shot thrown because between the Inner Circle and Pinnacle, because we got Jericho versus Dax Harwood. Now we probably get another situation leading up to the Blood Guts match. Perhaps say MJF versus Jake Hager. I don't know, but we saw a good match here. We're probably gonna get a couple more good ones leading up to Blood Guts, but solid match for both, besides the chaos. So then we got Kris Statlander's in-ring return on Dynamite after 10 months since tearing her ACL last May. I mean, she looks great as ever. So thrilled to see her back on Dynamite. She faced Amber Nova. She hit the Big Bang Theory for the win. Afterwards, she celebrated with Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends. I mean, she is a solid piece, and thus she adds to the women's division. Glad to see her back. Not really much to be said, but yeah, good to see her back. And yeah. So next we had Christian Cage. Here's an interview by Tony Schiavone. There was a thought of going to be an open challenge of Christian Cage, but he was interrupted by Taz, Hook, and Will Hobbs, who asked Ricky Starks and Brian Cage to stay in the backstage area. So Taz came out, they had a little back and forth on the mic with Christian Cage and Taz. Taz wanted an answer out of Christian Cage. Taz said that, or Christian said, he's not in AEW to fix his problems. He's here to win championships. He said Team Taz is a dumpster fire. So then I thought that perhaps Ricky Starks or Brian Cage would blindside Christian Cage, but that was not the case. Instead, Will Hobbs and Hook came down and attacked Christian Cage. Eventually, Will Hobbs got the advantage, and Hobbs stood over Cage on the steel steps to end the segment. Apparently, next week we're going to get Christian Cage versus Will Hobbs 1-on-1. I mean, people are going to have mixed feelings about it, and I see why. Because Christian Cage is going to fight Will Hobbs, who is a young wrestler still looking to find his groove in the business. But Christian Cage can't lose. So, but still, maybe an interesting match. We'll have to see, but we'll just have to see for next week. So then we get to the main events. Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy, Falls Count Anywhere for TNT Championship. I thought because it was Falls Count Anywhere, I thought this could pave the way for perhaps Lance Archer causes a ruckus and Darby squeaks out a win and perhaps we get a back and forth between Darby and Lance Archer. That was not the case. Now, it was still a good match, but once again, I said it was chaotic, and we had a ruckus with the Hardy family office, Sting and Lance Archer, which kind of took away from the match, and JR said not to frame from your focus, or something along those lines, but no means to take away from the main focus, which is Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy, while they were fighting towards the backstage area. But still going into review the match, so Matt Hardy, he's the chair right at the bat. Darby went for a coffin drop, but was caught with a chair shot in midair. Well, curious because Darby saw that Matt Hardy had a chair in his hand, but he still went for it. And Darby's crazy. So, Matt hit a neck breaker for a near fall. They were fighting on the outside. And then, while the ruckus was going on, like I said, they were fighting to the back. Matt actually set up a ladder and then hit a leg drop off the ladder through Darby through a table for a near fall. And then commentators noted that Matt landed awkwardly on his tailbone, so he was limping throughout the rest of the match. So then while Sting was out there, he gave Darby his bat, and it looked like Matt was going to throw Darby off the stage, and instead, Darby gave Matt a low blow, jumped to the ringside area, got the bat, used it on Matt. Matt was trying to run away, but he was in front of the commentary table. So then Matt, he was propped up on the announce table with everything was taken on it. The commentators went away. So Darby went behind the announcer's table and then went up the scaffold and hit. I was worried he was going to miss him. I mean, with the angle that was shot, I was nervous that he was going to miss Hardy, but Darby hit a coffin drop off the scaffold, through Matt, through the table, for the win. Again, I thought we were going to see a little back and forth between Archer and Darby. We didn't get that to end the show. Just got Darby on stage holding up his title. And that was how the show went off there. So, I mean, good episode of Dynamite for the first time being standalone on Wednesday nights. I think they had over a million fans, or a million viewers. So, solid way for them to start being on their own on Wednesday night. I mean, not much to say. We're getting some interesting matchups next week. Like I said, with Shia versus Ty Conti, Cage versus Will Hobbs. More to come. But nonetheless, that was the review, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. As I said earlier, like and subscribe. Thank you all. I'll see you back next week. So be safe and peace.